So 96% of golfers are out there right now making this one specific backswing mistake. And it doesn't just ruin your scorecard, but it basically guarantees you're going to end up with a shoulder injury.
Yeah, and the crazy part is that the traditional video swing analysis you might get at the local driving range, well, it almost never catches it. It is the absolute definition of a biomechanical blind spot.
Right, because we rely so heavily on, drawing those colored lines on a screen to see if a golf club is perfectly on plane.
Exactly. But that gives us a false sense of security, you know? The club head is just an inanimate object. What you see the club doing is always just a late-stage symptom of this invisible movement pattern happening deep inside the body.
Okay, so let's unpack this. Welcome to the deep dive. Today we are exploring a highly specialized diagnostic landscape. Our mission is to really uncover the truth hiding right under our noses, which is the intricate movement of the trail arm and the shoulder blade.
Yeah, and we are going through a massive stack of sports science research, clinical rehab protocols, and elite PGA coaching data to figure out why the traditional understanding of the backswing is setting you up for failure.
Both mechanical failure and physical pain, right?
Exactly. The stakes here go far beyond just trying to squeeze another 15 yards out of your driver. I mean, we are talking about joint preservation here.
Yeah, the shoulder is the third most common injury in golf, right?
It is. And when you look at the clinical data for overhead athletes in general, which very much includes golfers, we see this condition called scapular dyskinesis.
Which is essentially altered shoulder blade movement.
Right, exactly. And this condition is present in 67 to 100% of shoulder injuries.
Wait, up to 100%? That is insane.
I know, it really is.
I mean, that implies the shoulder isn't just randomly wearing out. It is the focal point of a systemic failure. So we have to ask, is the shoulder actually the instigator of a bad golf swing, or is it just the victim of everything happening around it?
It is predominantly the victim. It's the victim of a broken link in your kinetic chain. To really visualize this, think of your shoulder blade, the scapula, as a heavy-duty metal washer on a bolt.
Okay, a metal washer. I like that visual.
Right. So its entire biomechanical purpose is to take the massive force generated by the true engine of the swing, which is your core and your legs pushing against the ground, and evenly distribute that load.
Distribute it up into the delivery mechanism, right? Your hands holding the club.
Exactly.
That completely shifts the perspective. The power originates from ground reaction forces, and the scapula acts as the transmission transferring that power.
Right. And if the transmission is warped or slipping, the energy never makes it to the club head. Instead, you get a localized explosion of stress directly inside the shoulder joint.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, if the washer isn't sitting flush, the sheer force of the swing concentrates entirely on those fragile tendons and ligaments. That leads to terrible swing compensations and inevitably severe injury.
So understanding how that washer is supposed to sit flush requires looking at what sports medicine calls the scapulohumeral rhythm.
Yes.
Which is like the three-dimensional dance between the shoulder blade and the upper arm bone, right?
Yeah.
The humerus.
Exactly. During a healthy backswing, the shoulder blade doesn't just sit perfectly still on your back. It upwardly rotates, it tilts backward, and it externally rotates.
Okay, so it's doing a lot of moving.
It really is. And while it is gliding across your rib cage, you have 4 tiny muscles surrounding the joint. Rather than getting bogged down in the Latin textbook names of those muscles, it's far more useful to think of them collectively.
As a functional compressor cuff, like our sources call it.
Yes, exactly, a compressor cuff.
So you're saying their main job isn't actually to swing the arm around?
No, their primary job is active stabilization. They act as a localized vacuum system, actively sucking the spherical head of the arm bone tight into the shallow socket of the shoulder blade.
To keep the bone perfectly centered,
Yeah,
basically.
right, so it doesn't slide around and shear the surrounding labrum or tendons when you swing at 100 miles an hour.
But that compressor cuff relies entirely on the shoulder blade being in the proper position to work, right?
It absolutely does.
And according to the research from physical therapist Vladimir Jandet in our sources, modern life essentially guarantees that our shoulder blades are out of position before we even pick up a club.
Yeah, Jananda identified this modern epidemic he called upper-crossed syndrome. When you spend decades sitting at a desk, typing on a keyboard, or hunching over a smartphone, your body's tissues physically adapt to that position.
Because we're just stuck like that all day.
Exactly. The muscles in your chest, the pecs, and your lats become permanently shortened and tightened.
And because the human body works on a pulley system, if the front is permanently tight, the back must be compromised.
Right. It's a phenomenon called reciprocal inhibition. Because the chest is locked short, Your brain essentially turns down the neurological signal to your upper back muscles to prevent them from tearing.
The serratus anterior and the lower trapezius.
Right. Yes. Those vital back muscles become elongated, weak, and they neurologically fall asleep.
In the golf world, I know the Titleist Performance Institute refers to this as the dreaded C posture. Your upper spine just permanently rounds forward.
Exactly.
But let me push back on this for a second. I mean, logically, if I step up to the golf ball and realize I have that rounded C posture, I should just be able to consciously pull my shoulders back, right? Just force my spine straight at address.
Well, you would think so, but no.
It feels like if I have a bent metal antenna, I should just force it straight. Why doesn't that work?
Because the human spine and muscular system aren't just a static piece of metal, you know? They are a complex web of adapting tissues. When you physically force your spine to look straight at address without actively releasing those shortened chest muscles, you artificially lock up the thoracic spine.
Oh, because the muscles haven't woken up yet.
Right. You create this immense rigid tension, which actually restricts your ability to rotate. You aren't fixing the antenna, you are just bending it in a different place.
If my body is already fighting that kind of severe internal tension, it makes total sense why we naturally default to the most common disastrous swing mistake in amateur golf.
Yes, we are talking about the lawnmower pull.
The absolute hallmark of an amateur backswing. Taking the trail arm, so the right arm for a right-handed golfer, and simply yanking the elbow straight backward.
It's so common.
It looks and feels exactly like pull starting a stubborn gas lawnmower. Right?
It really does.
And honestly, I see why our brains trick us into doing this.
Yeah.
Evolutionarily speaking, if we want to move a heavy object powerfully, we internally rotate our arms and pull it tight toward our center of mass. It feels like a strong, aggressive motion.
What is fascinating here is that it does feel powerful, but in the context of a rotational golf swing, it is a devastating biomechanical trap.
How so?
Well, when you start with slumped shoulders from that C posture, your upper arm physically has to internally rotate. Now think about your elbow joint. It is a simple hinge. It only bends in one direction.
Okay, so if my upper arm is internally rotated, that hinge is pointing directly behind me.
Yes, exactly. And as you lift your arms to initiate the backswing, that hinge bends, and the elbow gets physically trapped behind your ribcage.
Oh, wow, so you are literally cornered by your own anatomy.
You are. Some coaches actually call it choking yourself out because of how bunched up the shoulder becomes.
And if the elbow is trapped completely behind you at the top of the swing, the only path back to the golf ball is throwing the club outward and over the top.
Which causes that steep, slicing, weak downswing everyone hates. We literally sabotage the downswing before it even begins.
That's incredible.
And to compound that issue, let's look at what the pelvis is doing. We talked about golfers artificially trying to fix their rounded upper back.
Right.
Well, another massive setup error is attempting to straighten the spine by arching the lower back using the lumbar muscles instead of using the abdominals to create a neutral pelvis.
So by arching the lower back, you are basically locking down the core muscles you desperately need in order to turn.
Precisely. You trap your elbow up top and you lock your rotational engine down below.
If our anatomy is physically fighting us on multiple fronts like this, how is a tour pro generating so much effortless speed without dislocating their shoulder?
Well, they bypass the trap entirely, using a biomechanical alignment often referred to as the elbow pit.
The elbow pit, I love this visual. What exactly are we looking for at setup?
Instead of letting the shoulders slump forward, elite players engage in subtle scapular retraction right from the start. They gently pull their shoulder blades toward their spine.
Okay, just a subtle pull.
Right. And when you do this, your trail arm naturally externally rotates. If you look at the inside crease of your elbow, the elbow pit, it will physically point away from your body rather than up at your chin.
Okay, so merely by setting the shoulder blade, our heavy-duty washer, the arm automatically rotates outward. What happens is they take the club back.
Well, because that arm is externally rotated, the elbow hinge is now perfectly aligned with the swing arc. During the backswing, elite players do not pull the arm behind them.
They just elevate it.
Yeah, they simply elevate the arm upward, add a slight amount of what we call abduction, which is just moving the arm slightly away from the center of the chest, sometimes called a little elbow flare.
And what's the shoulder blade doing?
It continues to glide backward in retraction.
Meaning the hands and the arm actually stay right in front of the chest the entire time. They never cross behind the seam of the shirt.
Never. The rotation of the torso moves the club back, not the pulling of the arm.
Let's unpack the implications of this for the downswing, because this is crucial. Here is where it gets really interesting.
Oh, absolutely.
I know many of our listeners, myself included, have spent countless hours doing pump drills, trying to actively shallow the club, consciously dropping their hands into the slot to fix their over-the-top slice. Are you saying all those shallowing drills are essentially a waste of time?
Honestly, yes. If
Yeah.
we look at the physics of the movement, actively trying to shallow the club is usually just reinforcing a manipulated, unnatural swing. Yeah, if you achieve proper scapular retraction and keep that trail arm in front of your body with the elbow pit pointing outward during the backswing, you don't ever need to consciously teach your hands to shallow the club.
Because shallowing happens to you automatically rather than being something you actively do.
Precisely. Let's look at the physics. If you are in the correct position at the top of the swing, your lower body aggressively unwinds toward the target to start the downswing.
Right.
The heavy club head wants to resist that sudden change in direction. That natural resistance, combined with the relaxed external rotation of your trail arm, causes the center of mass of the club to naturally drop backward.
Wow, okay.
The sheer momentum and torque of the unwinding body force the club to shallow perfectly onto the swing plane without a single conscious thought.
That is a massive paradigm shift. Shallowing is just the natural physical consequence of a properly aligned backswing. But knowing the mechanics of the elbow pit is only half the battle.
Huh?
Rewiring a body that is stuck in upper cross syndrome requires actionable strategies from the sports science and rehab world. What should we be doing in the gym?
First, we have to issue a serious warning about what not to do.
Yeah.
There is a very popular shoulder rehab exercise that is actively destroying golfers' joints. We need to talk about the empty can.
The empty can, is that the exercise where you hold a light dumbbell straight out in front of you, point your thumb down like you are emptying a soda can, and lift?
That is the one. For decades, physical therapists prescribed the empty can to strengthen the supraspinatus muscle in the rotator cuff. But modern electromyographic and kinematic data paints a very different picture.
Oh, really?
Yeah. When you internally rotate the arm and elevate it in that specific plane, the powerful deltoid muscle completely overpowers our delicate compressor cuff.
What does that actually do inside the joint mechanics, though?
It causes superior humeral head migration.
Okay, meaning?
The arm bone is literally pulled upward, crashing into the roof of the shoulder socket. It physically squishes the bursa sac and the tendons against the bone, drastically decreasing the subacromial space.
Oh, so you're essentially grinding your own tissues together.
Exactly. You are creating a perfect recipe for severe impingement and micro tears.
So we are actively accelerating the injury. If we toss the empty can in the garbage, what is the alternative to safely build that compressor cuff?
You want to use the full can exercise where the thumbs point up toward the ceiling. Or even better, side-lying external rotations.
Okay, just lying on your side and rotating a small weight upward.
Yes. That safely isolates the posterior muscles of the compressor cuff without causing that dangerous bone migration.
Okay, that protects the joint itself, but how do we train the actual scapular retraction movement we need to keep the arm in front of the chest during the backswing?
The wall angel is a phenomenal diagnostic and training drill for this.
How does that work?
You stand with your back completely flat against a wall, press your lower spine into it, and raise your arms to form a W shape. Your elbows and wrists must maintain contact with the wall.
That sounds tough already.
It is. From there, you slowly slide your arms up to form a Y shape while continuously pinching your shoulder blades together. If you have tight chest muscles from sitting at a desk, this seemingly simple movement feels almost impossible.
I can imagine the upper back just screaming trying to hold that position.
Oh, yeah.
But wait, I also want to dig into the Frankenstein drill from the athletic motion golf data we reviewed, because I think it perfectly illustrates the physical feeling of a proper backswing.
It really does. You stand up and put both arms straight out in front of your chest, completely stiff, like Frankenstein's monster.
Right.
Without twisting your torso or your hips at all, you simply pull your right shoulder blade back towards your spine while pushing your left shoulder blade forward.
Since the elbows are locked straight, you are forcing the brain to recognize that rotational movement must originate from the shoulder blades gliding across the rib cage, rather than from bending the elbow hinge.
Exactly. You are entirely separating the shoulder's glide from the arm's bend.
That makes so much sense.
It is the key mechanism. It completely breaks the neurological habit of yanking the elbow backward. You finally feel what it means to power the arm's movement entirely through the scapula.
Which perfectly sets up the kinetic chain rehab exercise exercises mentioned in our sources,
Hmm.
specifically the low row and the clinical rehab version of the lawnmower exercise.
Right.
But hold on, the lawnmower pull was just identified as the root of all evil in the golf swing. Why is it suddenly being used as a rehab exercise?
Well, context and full body mechanics change everything. In the amateur golf swing, the lawnmower pull is an isolated internal rotation of the arm that traps the elbow.
Right, so it is just the arm moving.
Exactly. But in clinical rehab, the lawnmower exercise is a full body kinetic chain movement. You start bent over, but you initiate the pulling motion by driving your feet into the ground.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, you extend your hips and use your trunk to power the movement upward, only finishing with a strong retraction of the shoulder blade at the very end.
Wait, so to fix my shoulder, you are telling me to use my legs?
Exactly. You are using the momentum of your legs to fix the weakness in your shoulder.
How does a ground reaction force actually communicate with a tiny muscle in the upper back, though?
Through myofascial lines and the body's nervous system, the human body operates on diagonal slings of connective tissue and muscle.
Okay.
For example, your right shoulder is connected diagonally across your back to your left hip via the posterior oblique sling.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, when you aggressively drive your feet into the ground and extend your hips, the nervous system sends a cascading signal up that diagonal sling. Pushing off the ground naturally tells your serratus anterior and lower trapezius to fire.
So if you were just standing statically in a gym trying to isolate the shoulder with a cable machine, you were completely ignoring the body's natural wiring.
You are. Pushing with the lower body turns on the upper body. It proves definitively that the golf swing is a true full-body kinetic chain. You cannot cure a shoulder problem or a swing plane problem by only looking at the shoulder.
Okay, let's consolidate all of this into a clear, actionable roadmap for the listener. So what does this all mean for your next round? First, audit your setup right. Are you trapped in a C posture? Check your elbow pit.
Right, it needs to point outward away from you, which physically guarantees your shoulder blade is retracted.
Exactly. Second, rewrite your entire conceptual model of the backswing. The trail elbow does not yank behind you. It elevates, flares slightly, and the shoulder blade glides back toward the spine. Keep your hands right in front of your chest.
Yep, and third, rethink your gym routine. Stretch the pecs and lats to undo your desk posture and activate the lower traps with safe exercises like side-lying external rotations and the wall angel.
Ditch the empty can completely.
Completely. And use the ground to power your upper back during rehab. This approach entirely mirrors where elite sports medicine is heading today. The industry is rapidly moving away from purely pathoanatomical diagnoses.
Right, meaning just looking at a static MRI,
Yeah.
seeing a tear in the labrum, and saying, well, there is the tear. That's the whole problem.
Exactly. The paradigm shift is toward movement system diagnostic classifications. Elite coaches and physical therapists evaluate the entire chain.
Because it's all connected.
It is. A golfer might come in with chronic localized shoulder impingement, but a full evaluation reveals they have zero thoracic spine mobility or terrible hip stability. The shoulder only tore because it was the last line of defense compensating for the locked-up hips.
It is like fixing the foundation of a house to stop a window on the second floor from cracking. If you just keep replacing the glass, the new window is going to keep shattering every winter until you fix the sinking concrete foundation underneath the house.
That illustrates it perfectly. The site of the pain is rarely the source of the problem.
We have completely deconstructed the golf swing today, looking at it from the inside out. We uncovered why the C posture forces a trapped elbow, how the elbow pit alignment bypasses that anatomical trap, and how understanding the myofascial kinetic chain allows you to shallow the club automatically without forced, unnatural manipulations.
I want to leave you with one final thought to ponder. Let us revisit that heavy-duty washer analogy from earlier.
Okay.
The scapula is ingeniously designed by human evolution to take the immense, violent torque of your lower body and pass it safely up to your hands.
Right.
So the next time you walk off the 18th green and find yourself reaching for an ice pack for your shoulder or your elbow, take a hard, honest look at your swing mechanics. Are you blaming the victim for a crime that was actually committed by your hips and core?
If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe to our channel and share it with fellow golfers, coaches, and PGA professionals. If there is a topic you would like us to research, analyze, and discuss in a future episode, feel free to send us an email or connect with us through LinkedIn. Whether your interest is golf biomechanics, kinematics, ground reaction forces, swing mechanics, putting, coaching, club fitting, technology, or sports science, we would love to hear from you. Our team will review your submission, conduct extensive research, analyze the available evidence, and may create a dedicated podcast episode, article, video, or testing project based on your topic. Thank you for being part of the eCoach 360 Degree community.